What's up, guys? Welcome to another adventure. You can't see my mouse, but that's what happens when I go over the character with my mouse. Welcome back to another adventures. There's like 50 minutes until the reset, which is usually when I start playing. I get on earlier sometimes, but that's just like to kind of look around, see if anyone needs help. Uh, and I'll check like Xbox, looking for groups and stuff. Some people don't post with the like hashtag save the world or STW. It's a little acronym. So sometimes you can't really find people that need help so easily. Um, but I do look every so often, see if anyone needs help. I did help someone the other day. I'll say other day because this video's gonna come out like in like 4 days or so. Okay. Ooh, Shadow Shard. Shadow Shard. This is probably gonna be ventures and just talking about maybe some tips for new players since I've been encountering like really new players recently. As in like that's a mimic. As in like little to no experience. Some are like returning players that are getting back into it. Others are like fresh, just got the game, that sort of thing. Like bought a pack since Fortnite is selling those like $15 packs to get the game. Uh, it's around like 15 to 20, I think. Uh, but I had seen one for 15. It's a pretty cool skin. It includes Save the World. I don't remember what the skin's name is right now, but um, it's a pretty cool pack, pretty cool skin. There is a rumor going around that if you're a founder and you get any of the new packs, your founders perks are no longer available. And for those who are founders, uh, I'm not even know. I don't even not even sure if that's true that it takes away your founders privileges. And if you're asking what founders privileges do you get an increased. What how do you say? An increased account XP. I guess you could say like an XP boost, but it's constant. Let me see. Boosts. Okay. Account boost. See, so as a founder, you get a party XP buff. Um, oh, it's not constant to party members when you have a boost active. Okay, so I guess it's just an extra boost when you have boosts active. Uh, I thought initially it was an always active like 10% boost, but I guess it's just an increased boost when you have a boost active. But there's that thing, that buff. I guess you could say the XP buff, and then there's another founder's perk is the founder's weapons and stuff like that. If you don't have any, there used to be founders weapons that were like the usual guns you see. So you'll get like a founder's edition of a pistol or a founder's edition of any gun or melee, basically. Um, I know when I had bought my founders pack, they were giving. It wasn't every day. I think it was like every like end of the week, say in days that you would get a llama, which would contain a founder's weapon. It wouldn't be like a founder's drum or anything like that. Those are special founder's weapons. It would be like a random weapon, but it would be a founder's version of that weapon. Um, so anyone could have any type. It's random, so you could get someone with more than one of it. But That's kind of one of the perks you would get too. Um, Another perk. That's a mimic. No, it's not. Another perk was Another perk is that founders members get I was gonna say Venture XP. They get V Bucks for dailies and for things like Storm Shield defenses. I was losing my train of thought 'cause I'm trying to fight these guys as well, but for stuff like that basically. So for Storm Shield defenses, founders would get that sort of stuff. Ooh. What else would they get? Well, obviously, if you purchased it, you'd get the special weapons, the special characters, the random unique weapons. They're not necessarily better than any weapons. You know, some weapons are bad, some weapons are good, and they would basically just be different because they had the founder's name on them, and that's really all that was different about them. Oh, there's ducks here. There's usually ducks on here. Probably the easiest way to get them is just to break it and get a bunch of duct tape, which is cool for traps. I think I mentioned that a long time ago. Someone just messaged me, carry me, please. Or messaged me a while ago. What time is it? Messaged me a while ago. I guess one of my friends noticed I was on. He doesn't need to be carried. He's a high level guy like me, but he rarely plays. So I guess now that he's seen me on, he's asking me to play with him. But I'll play with him in a minute. I'll finish this recording up and link up with him. But yeah, that was all that really was for the venture perks, the founders perks, and there's still that myth, as I mentioned earlier, that you lose those founder privileges, being V Bucks for daily missions, and V Bucks for I keep forgetting it. V Bucks for storm shields. There you go. I did confirm that if you are new, you don't get V Bucks for dailies and or your storm shield defenses. So, as far as I know, you may only be able to get V Bucks in Save the World from daily, like random missions, right? Not daily missions like the quest daily missions. It's a random mission that'll spawn in any zone, right? It's random, and it can give you, I think the max of it is like 35. So there is that. I'm not sure if it's tickets for anyone. I haven't really met anyone to confirm or deny if you can still get it from those missions that randomly spawn. But as soon as I find out, I'll probably mention it in whatever video it ends up being on that I find out or recording. But yeah, for new players it's always weird because on to new players. It's always weird because there's a lot of information to give new players, but you don't want to just give them every shred of information about the game right away, because then it makes it really complicated, and then you might lose interest, or you might just find it way overcomplicated and not progress, but not try to experiment for yourself rather on what heroes can do what. Essentially, like character builds, right? I had a friend who had a similar experience and was like, all right, this is, it's seemingly pretty complicated, so I'm gonna leave it to, me basically, or the other friend, the one I mentioned earlier that was high level, to help me out with setting up my builds because I'm not sure what I could put together to, um, to set up a good hero build, right? Which is fine, because me and the friend I mentioned earlier, I've been playing for a long time. This game specifically, and we do know, what characters to give you right away, so you can put them together if you want. But some of those characters are event characters or special characters that you can only get for events. I missed his head. I don't know what I'm getting, but I was getting audio. And like I said, that's perfectly fine to ask people who have been playing for a while what characters are good, what characters are bad, and the like of how to set up your characters. But um, it's also a learning thing. You don't want to rely too heavily on people like that to give you information on that all the time because it may not be available all the time, or just because you may not want to feel like you're, giving them trouble for it. I need to repair this weapon. Is there a repair station? Not this weapon, but my other bow. This one's cool for what it is, but these enemies are nature, which means I'm not necessarily doing more damage to them even with this nature bow. I soon know the map. I know there's one way over the top left, but I was hoping I could see one closer. And I'm already done with the mission, so it's cool. But back to what I was saying. It is cool to ask if you need help or need advice in the game, that sort of thing. Always cool. But we're not always available, or whoever you may be asking may not be available. So it's not necessarily complicated. It's just seemingly complicated, which is why I express that. Because really, if you look at my setup, it's really just finding characters, whether that be in a collection book. You could be searching through the event heroes or other stuff, other heroes. You know what I mean? The expansion stuff. Um, you can search through and see what heroes do what, and if you're trying to aim to do something, like mine is mainly just arrow splintering plus whatever I have on my support team, which is just sniper crit, sniper damage, energy siphon for obviously restore 8.5 missing shields per elimination. But if you also know my team perk, which is on the left, it's blue. Well, they're all blue, but it's totally rocking now, and the text is in blue. Once I get Rockin' Rift, I get an increased crit and I heal for 73.5 of base health. And on top of that, once you activate Totally Rockin' Out, it says active, but that's just because I have the minimum requirement for it to activate. So, on top of that, what I was saying, on top of it, I have the support team 2 characters that are required to have Rock and Rip activate, which are Battle Beat and Subwoofer. And after eliminations, the first one says 10 eliminations, and one of them is just harvesting. But after 10 eliminations, say I gain Rock and Rift, which I already have it. And if you gain Rockin' Rift by yourself or not with the team perk Totally Rockin' Out, you still get the buffs of the support team, but you don't heal or gain that crit rating that I get from Totally Rockin' Out team perk. Um, they're still really useful, especially in low game. If you have a Breakbeat Wildcat, or I'm forgetting the character for Subwoofers, but it is essentially meta characters, meaning characters you would want to run. I think this is chest, but it's just a light. It is a chest. I couldn't. Okay. Thought it wasn't. Let's see. Scrap that and that and those two. But yeah, what I was saying is it's basically just experimenting with characters to try to complete a task or try to buff, let's say, a weapon or a weapon type, right? Because there are builds for pistols, there are builds for SMGs, for ARs, and some of them are somewhat the same. I think there's characters that will give buffs to ARs, SMGs, and then the other side, which is just pistols and SMGs. So it's not always super specific. Like for this bow build, you could use it on a sniper since it's sniper oriented. But there's other setups like for pistols that you could use for SMGs or use for ARs. Dual purpose. All right, sorry about that. I went into a little bit of a coughing fit, which is sucky. Um, but it's kind of just about seeing what characters you have, what you can do with those characters. Like I said, if you have a character that grants Rock and Rift, that's really good. That's a really good start. If you have legendary characters or purple characters, sometimes you might want to check them out. You might want to check them out, see what they can do, see what their perks are. Like mine, obviously, mine is splintering arrows. So it doesn't matter if it's this bow, even though this bow already chain attacks. I'll show you. Hitting an enemy with this weapon causes chain lightning to spread to 6 enemies. All right, 6 enemies plus the 5 enemies that I already splintered to is basically like a double damage sort of thing because you're hitting an enemy twice. Kind of with both chain attacks, even though you could say it's not really a chain attack. That the one my main is, or the commander, whichever you prefer to call it. But what else? But it's always best to look at your characters, see what they can do, see if you have any characters that are related to that, which is why I mentioned characters to accomplish a task or to buff a weapon type, right? And weapon, it's not always necessarily weapon types either. It could be an ability, like there's a build for, if you look at the bottom right, you see the little arrows, the kunai storm. That there is there's people for a lower cooldown, which you're gonna say this thing's like 9 seconds. Why do you want a lower cooldown? Well, because you could spam it, but the only problem is that every time you use kunai storm, your character goes up. So if you could use it over and over again, your character is gonna go straight up, and then it outlives its usefulness when you're too high in the air. Like at this range, the spread is really wide, and the range is not very far. So it's kind of not very useful at this range, especially towards enemies that would be like down there. Enemies that are right here, like on this, let's say, if this was level, on this plane would be perfect. because it's really only very effective at like the one tile high range. But you could go higher with it. You can go to the say this is like a tile high still. But you can go one higher, and it should still be, decent. Um, there's also builds for your throwing stars. There's also builds for your kick. A lot of them being like cooldown reduction or like a sort of add-on to that ability. But there are also other builds like with soldiers. There's minigun builds. There's warcry builds. There's that slam attack that they do, that ground pound. Um, for outlanders, there's farming builds, which is basically just an energy build to basically keep you doing the anti-material charge, which one shots uh, all builds, usually of your level. So whatever level you are, it should one punch any structure or any um, harvestable, basically any harvestable. So like the trees, the rocks, the ores. So if you find like sunbeam, shadow shard, or you find copper, you know what I mean. You should be able to one punch it. Um, it also breaks things that are one shot, like the gnomes or the beds, that sort of thing. Not beds, not all the time. Certain, I think it's a specific type of bed it might break in one shot. But I know for sure it's gnomes. I don't quite remember what other structures. I should have 124 missions now. Yeah, I do. Okay. I am 10 levels away from the end of Ventures, which is really nice. That is a weapon supercharger. If you don't know what the weapon superchargers look like, if you looked up at level when I said that, 10 levels away, I'm really like 11 levels away. So I'm barely 39. But at level 40, the little icon next to it, the green is weapon supercharger. The red to the right of that is a survivor supercharger, which is what I'm playing Ventures for all the time. The reasons the missions are all lit up is because I still need to discover catacombs, and I still need a lot of 190 rifle eliminations, which is the last one. 10 out of 20, 200. I said 20. What else? Let's go to my heroes, right? Let's go to my heroes because I have a lot of heroes. Some of them I vaguely remember what they do. The last person I helped had this character, Swordmaster Ken. If you don't know what he does, Shadow Stance, which you gain Shadow Stance from eliminating an enemy with the melee. It doesn't really give you the... Does it? I think it does when you do this. There you go. Wrong character, but... Okay. Shadow Stance. There you go. After eliminating one enemy with a melee weapon, enter Shadow Stance for 4 seconds. Stats increase armor by 60 and movement speed by 15. So, being in Shadow Stance gives you a little bit more buffs, but this character also increases the sword damage by 75% if you have him in your commander by 75%. So, if you have a character like that buffs a certain weapon type, then you might want to use that weapon type with that character. Or if you have a character, say like Beetle Jess, which is a crit rating character, or crit damage character, sorry. Crit damage character, 225% increased crit damage for SMGs, pistol SMGs, sorry. I just read SMG because it was highlighted, but pistol SMG. And that's also, pretty good. Not necessarily for beginners, but it is a useful character to have down the line. So if you end up getting her from the Fortnite Nightmares Llamas, don't just throw her away just yet. Now, this perk ain't done yet. Right, never mind the characters. This is the Fortnite first year birthday character I got, and the perk is what you want to focus on, right? Because there's I don't have any other characters that have this perk. I have characters that help this perk, or not help this perk, but help the ability rather. Since this is a going commando ability setup, basically what it is. Do I even have it on? We'll go to it so I can better explain. Here it is. Yeah. Okay, so I have ain't done yet, which you know, increased going commando duration 20 seconds. Then I have a cooldown reduction. It reduced ability cooldowns by 40%, stacks independently from other cooldown reduction perks, which is why I have going again. Going again decreases the cooldown again by 30. Broomstick for damage. This one's for health. I mean energy. This one's for energy. This one's for health. I don't necessarily need this one anymore. Because I had this for previous ventures, which, if I didn't tell you, I'm pretty sure I did. But previous ventures, there was a modifier. That's what those are. A modifier that makes it so your characters have no energy. And obviously, by killing enemies, I get energy. I also get energy for killing enemies with the ability. So if I can kill enough enemies to get, I think it's like 50. It's either 50 or 30 energy to pop. I think it's 50 to pop the going commando. I can use going commando to gain energy, which will put me at 100, and then I can use my going commando whenever I want. But another modifier for previous ventures was that in exchange for having no energy, the cooldowns would be reduced and the damages would be increased for abilities, which obviously I already have 2 cooldown reductions for abilities. One being specifically for going commando, and another one being general for my 3 abilities. You could have a infinite minigun, or you could have had a really long lasting war cry. You could have had a really, really long lasting war cry. But this venture is different. I only really I don't use it super often. I used it early game because obviously if I have a fast firing high DPS weapon right off the rip of ventures, then I'll be doing really well. It'll just be really easy. If you have a team of 3 with it, then it's even easier. But you want to look out for characters like this one, Ain't Done Yet. Obviously, if you have Ain't Done Yet, you're gonna be pretty well off, even in your lower level missions, which should probably be really good in a lower level mission. I'm not saying you're like you specifically, person watching, you're a low level, but like if you are a low level, then it is something good to get, or just good to have, right? There are other characters, like you could main this character as well, which would give you maybe it's, what is it, maybe a 20-25 second cooldown. I don't quite remember how long it would be with this character as your main, but I do know he gives you a 66% cooldown, so it's probably like a 20-second cooldown, which is not far off from this current build's cooldown. The cooldown is like 12 seconds, so it lasts like 35 seconds. I think it's like a 45-50 in total that it takes to cool down, but you use it for say 30-35 seconds, which then takes the cooldown, not takes the cooldown, but the cooldown ends up being just like 12 seconds. So let's go back to my heroes. So this character, if you get this character early on, then good for you, right? That'll be really good to get early on. If you have any soldier that has the minigun related minigun related, or like this one is weapon damage related. 52 assault and SMGs. Then you'll be well off as well. This one's the cooldown one we mentioned earlier, I think. Oh yeah, see, this is shockwave cooldown. There you go. So you could have another shockwave one. Triceratops doesn't really matter. This character, if you get this one early, that'd be pretty good as well. 50% chance for each shot not to cost ammo. It's pretty good if you have LMGs. I don't necessarily have characters with, or many characters, I'll say, with really good like commander perks that you would use as a commander, right? Like this one, you could use a commander if you get her early. You could definitely use her as commander, and it'll help with whatever weapon you have. If it's a SMG or an SMG or AR. This character doesn't really do that. This character is just shockwave radius, which is still kind of cool, right? If you want to do damage in a wider area, that's great. If you get this character early on, that'll be really good too, because he's increased damage and changes your going commando to energy, which is good. You don't have to worry about other elemental enemies because it's energy, so you won't be doing reduced damage to specific enemies. But I don't have many heroes that do necessarily crazy stuff. I do have a lot of heroes, don't get me wrong, and a lot of builds that I can use with them in combo. But it's just really on how you use your characters. Like this is a dragon slash character, right? And in early game, if you could use an ability like this, say it's like semi constantly, like pretty often is what I would say, then that'll be really helpful. It's just how you use the characters you're given, or how you're collecting your characters, which if you watched previous videos, you'll know that it's going to be with your llamas, or it's going to be Fort Nightmares, because you can get a couple of characters from Fort Nightmares, which are pretty good. Or it could be from the shop. The Plague Doctor is not necessarily one you should get. Sergeant Jonesy gives health. Oh, no, he doesn't. This is a really good character to get then. I thought this looked like the other character. The one that gives you health over a period of time. But there you go. If you don't necessarily have good characters, this is a good character to get. He doesn't have to be legendary. So this is a good like starter hero, and it changes in 4 days, which is cool, right? They just refreshed Wednesday, which if you don't know, the weekly items resets, or at least for me, it's Wednesday at like 5 p.m. not a.m. But that's for me. Time may vary depending on your time zone. And also, you're gonna want to pay attention to the missions and their rewards, because you can gain, weapons. Some of them will give you traps. Some of them will give you survivors, mini llamas, and other things that you may want. Now, I forgot to mention too, when the mission says something like this, 10 times pure drop of rain, it does not mean you're getting like 10 times the pure drop of rain. It's just 10. You're getting 10 drops of rain for doing that mission. It's not like you're getting, because it happens as well in the 160 areas sometimes. Not in this case. In this case, when it says 5 times drops of rain, you are getting 5 times, the drops of rain you would usually get when it is in the limited one. But I mean limited like the clock, if it says like 50 times drops of rain, you're only getting 50. So just be cautious of that, because it may not be a mission that's necessarily worth it, but you are going to want to check your missions. Like this one, a blue steam electric field, right? If you want to invest in getting that, a blue ceiling drop trap. You know what I mean? You are gonna end up putting or you could, potentially end up putting legendary flux into those, or epic flux into those, which will level them up into a higher rarity, and keep them for the eventual. They'll get to legendary, and then you'll have legendary traps, or you can kind of just get lucky. Looking around, you might find uh, a good mission with good rewards. Now, these mini llamas, I'm seeing them around pretty often. That is really good. Really, really good. So, I'm going to reiterate this again. I think I've told you guys about the mini llamas previously, but mini llamas can have anywhere from 80 to, I believe, 200 gold. And it's random how much you get, but between that, right? Because you can get, well, actually, the lowest you might be able to get is 60. The lowest you might get is 60. It gives you two, kind of like gold caches, I guess you could say, but it's within the llama. This one gives you three, or it's three mini llamas, but each have two rewards of gold, and they can be anywhere from 30 to 100. And I don't mean like you're gonna get a 45. It's either 30, 50, or 100, or the three gold amounts you would get. So you can get two 30s and get a 60, or you can get a 30, 50, or you can get a 50, 100, or 130, or 200. You know what I mean? 200s. But those are really good. You need gold. You know what I mean? You can get from three llamas. Uh, Even if you get 60 each, that's like what? That's 60, 170 maybe. At this mission, if you're in the area, it's not super hard to do by yourself either. I mean, right? You could build it out of metal, and if you have a constructor, and then you can put down the base. If you guys don't know what the base is used for, it's used for things like that. Where's my constructor? Way over here. Not this constructor. This constructor is just my recycling setup. Nothing on this character other than this, and these two constructors count as the build for it, because I need at least two constructors for the recycling perk, right? So it doesn't have to be these two characters. It doesn't have to be any of these characters actually. It just needs to be two constructors. It doesn't matter what their abilities are. I just need recycling and mega base Kyle. So, if you're gonna get like this build for recycling build, I guess you could say, then it just needs to be mega base Kyle and recycling, or it could be any constructor and recycling, right? Doesn't have to be mega base Kyle, but for what I use it for, I want mega base Kyle, so that's why I kind of expressed that has to be mega base Kyle, because for me it's like, with the setup I have in my Plankerton, it needs to be him, or it's not gonna, the connectivity won't reach all the way to the bottom, which then I won't gain as much mats. But if you'd seen the previous video where I showed you kind of how to build it, gave you the blueprint of it, basically it's like a 7x7, and then you go in and up, which means you just go, one tile in and up, and then you just keep doing that in and up until you get to the top. But that's what that's used for, basically, just recycling. This character is a constructor setup, right? Power base Kyle for the healing, supercharged traps for the damage, lofty for health. This one is just for a longer decoy. I can have anyone here and anyone here. Tough traps, durability, hot fix for building repair, and brain freeze just to freeze enemies when my decoy blows up. And then these slow field and banner. Slow field I usually use to slow smashers or mini bosses, so I can try to do as much damage as I can to them. And banners because they, heal buildings and then give them a bunch more health for 45 seconds. And they also do a shockwave and their respawn anchors, so they have their double use, I guess you can say. I don't have any other constructor builds other than this, because I could just change it, right? I can remove this character and put him here, or I can remove this character and put her here. You know what I mean? I can just swap them out. It's interchangeable, so you don't necessarily need more than one tab or hero loadout for a constructor setup. The other ones are just like, this one's another bow build for snipers, freezes them. I mentioned this previously. All this stuff. This last one is the spin build. I think I went over it in the previous video, but this is really all it is. I have this just for the extra damage. I'm pretty sure if I explained all this. You could change this character out and put constructor that gives you more shield. This character, bomb suit, increases armor by 22, which is gonna make enemies do less damage to your shields and health. So there's always that. But yeah, those are really my tips. Try to do missions with the mini llama rewards. Grizzly Enforcer is Enforcer Grizzly, I think, is teddy bear damage. So if you want more teddy bear damage, he's one of the characters you would need. It's kind of just basically set a goal of what you want to do with either an ability or a weapon type, and look for characters that will help you in that. Alright. This one is the farm one. It's really not too crazy, right? I just need strike cost. I need fossil Sally, blast from the past, and then two random prehistoric characters, dinosaur characters, and that's really it. Just these 4 characters plus the team perk, and that's it. I have teddy bear duration. I have berserk, which is teddy bear damage, and I have this character because ability damage 20%, which means I could kind of use my teddy bear as well. Teddy bear should have an increased damage and an increased duration with this setup as well, but it's not necessarily teddy bear build. This kind of just a farm build, and sometimes I'll have to use my teddy bear as a shield because it'll body block everything. So that is all I got for tips for new players, and a little ventures. But I'm pretty sure I've been talking for long enough that this is the video. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was kind of useful, a little helpful maybe in your save the world experience. If you have questions, need help, or anything like that, let me know in the comments, and I'll probably help you out, right? All you really need to do is just, hey, I need help. Here's my epic. Get to me whenever you can, and I will do exactly that. Or your Xbox, right? Because I am on Xbox and PC. I don't, as of yet, have a Discord. So there's that, but it's not a huge thing. But yeah, that is it for this video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you want to see more or need help, let me know. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.